Welcome to part 4 of this 5-part tutorial series covering converting two-dimensional map data into three-dimensional interactive environments for the purposes of archaeological site reconstructions. In this part, we will be discussing converting and preparing the data in order to be brought over to the Unity engine. What you see here on the screen is a representation of the end product, the data that has been brought into Unity engine and converted. In this tutorial, we'll be working with the data that we previously exported out of ArcMap and ArcScene and preparing it to be brought in this format. To start, let's work with the first data, the LiDAR data. This data still needs to be somewhat prepared from its JPEG format that we previously worked on, and you can use a program as simple as Microsoft Paint in order to get it to work. Go to where you saved your data, open up the JPEG within Microsoft Paint. As you can see, our LiDAR data has been converted into a grayscale map. And what you want to do is first, you want to select just the image, making sure that you have a little bit of white border around it. Move it however you need to, and zoom out if you need to. The idea here is to just get with the image that we want. It's a very small amount of border. Cut that. New. Don't save what we've previously done. Now I have the pixel size set to 1:1. Don't worry about maintaining aspect ratio. This way when you paste, it pastes just what you copied. It does not include any other border. Now we can continue working on it until this white border is gone, or we can just do it the simplified way. And that is to fill in the external border with black. As this is serving as our height map, black will be the lowest portion. If this was to maintain its white color, we would have giant walls that would be rising up on the edges of the border. Once you have made sure that the border is black, you can save the file as a JPEG, and you can even overwrite what you previously did. As long as it's a JPEG, you are good. Alright, that's all the work we need to do with the LiDAR data for now. Next, we need to work on building some of these models in order to get this nice three-dimensional basic shape that we do on some of these structures in the reconstruction, such as these structures. In order to do this, you need to build up the models based off of the platforms that we previously created. As you remember, last time we saved the platforms and the footprints of the structures as CAIA or DAE files. These can be opened up by a program known as SketchUp, or SketchMake, sorry. SketchUp Make. Now, in this version of SketchUp Make, I have the template running based off of feet and inches. And that is because, in order to build these structures to be accurate sizes, we will be using the old Sanborn insurance maps that show the location of the structures. These Sanborn insurance maps are useful in that their annotations are very specific in terms of they give us very good measurements for the structures. For example, you can see here that this is a 2-story structure and was approximately 28 feet. This was a 2-story structure, 20 feet. A 1-story structure, 12 feet. So on and so forth. And we will be using this Sanborn insurance map in order to construct our structures to have at least a very close proximity to what the original size and shape of the structures would have been. So in SketchUp Make, you want to start importing those DAE files that you created last time. If you remember correctly, we saved them in tutorial models too, and here they all are. Let's go ahead and just open up one of the first ones. So this one that we opened up, let's do that again. We will be opening up number 5. Now, currently we can't really tell what it is other than number 5. And in order to know which structure you are working on, go back to your ArcMap, open the file, open the attribute table, highlight number 5, shrink this a little bit, and it tells us that number 5 is this structure right here. So we go to our Sanborn insurance map, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know this structure is 1 floor, and each floor is approximately 12 feet tall. Go back to your model, take your pencil, outline the shape of the structure. Grab, type in 12 feet, hit enter, and now we have a 12-foot structure and the approximate size, shape, and orientation that the structure was. We know this is the front part of the structure, so let's say we were going to add a roof. Roofs can be a little bit complicated, specifically for structures such as this. So I'm going to make a slanted roof where one side is higher and the rest of the material goes off the side. At this point, go here. We will make this a 3-foot offset. Go to this corner. We'll also make this a 3-foot offset. Connect it here. Now, as you can see, it kind of messed up a little bit because now we do not have a completely straight structure. So you just need to modify it a little bit. Go back, make sure that's straight. Foot over there. Does that look better? We can go ahead and delete that line. We don't need it anymore. And then from corner to corner, and voila. We have a structure with a slanted roof. When you're done, hit Export 3D Model. I'm going to export it out as a collada model. Make sure you export 2-sided faces, edges, triangulate all faces. Don't worry about a hidden geometry. Preserve component hierarchies. Hit OK. And then you want to go in, and this was building ID 5, so you want to go click ID _5 and hit Export and replace. Now that model that we had in there has been replaced with number 5. Additionally, if you want to make it easier for when we transpose it into the program, and you can also do this as an alternative method, you can give it 2 extra feet on the base as kind of a foundation. And all you have to do there is go underneath it, drag it 2 feet, and now it has a nice little foundation for some wiggle room. This methodology will help when you import these models into Unity Engine if you need a little bit of extra room for your base of your structure. So export that. Now, let's do another one just as a quick example. Go to import. Let's do 8. Import that. Drop it in the middle. ID 8. That structure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in. Five. 1 floor, 12 feet, and it looks like it was a grocery store. We'll keep this one with, typically I would keep this one with a flat roof, as that is most likely what it had. However, in this case we will do a steepled roof just for example's sake. Same thing as before. Grab your pencil, outline the structure, grab it, 12 feet, and now we're going to make it have a steepled roof. Again, this is just for the purposes of this tutorial. So this is the midpoint for this line. Click it. We'll give it a 4 foot. Go over to the midpoint over here. Rotate. 4 feet again. Connect. You can get rid of this line there. Go ahead and erase that line. And that line. And now we have a 12-foot structure with a steepled roof. For the roofs on these, it's really based off of either you have really good data that tells you exactly how it was designed, or feeling. Additionally, for much of Sulphur Springs, we do have not necessarily high resolution photos, but we do have photos that give us a general idea of what these structures look like. And down the road, assuming that we have additional time, we will make higher resolution models. In the meantime, export this one out, 3D model, number 8, export, yes, and voila. We now have our structure. Additionally, you can use, if you learn how to, use this program for building some really nice high-resolution models. And I will show you one momentarily. Now, at this stage, for these houses, you have 2 options. The first option is to, one by one, bring those models back into Unity and import them by hand. For this workflow, that is probably one of the better ideas you can do because it makes the houses modular and easily replaceable. The other method, however, is you can open up ArcScene, and import the models into the 3D model that you created in the last part for the multi-patch. Program takes a few minutes to open up. The reason we follow this methodology is in order to have these structures in the proper orientation and size. As you can see here in this photo, this is what the town proper would have looked like. And we tried to do our best to maintain that in the reconstruction. Let's go ahead and start a blank scene. Remember how we yesterday made this file called buildings model for a multi-patch? You want to open that up. And just to make this easier to see for all of us, I'll change the color to orange. Now the structures that we just created are this one and this one. And we want to import those back in. So we can do that in a number of ways. Actually, let's go ahead and open up the file that we used and made it so that it had. Yeah, let's go ahead and open up the other one. The buildings multi. If you remember correctly, this one we gave platforms. Again, I'll change the color, make this easier to see. You gave these structures platforms. So here's 5 and here's 8. All right. What you want to do is open up your 3D editor, start editing, select. Oh, you're also going to want to open up your attribute table for this step. Select 5. I usually like to rotate it so that I'm directly above. Click the Insert tool. Click this dot, as this dot typically indicates the center of the model, or the center of the shape. It's going to open up this open file. So navigate to where you saved your folders. Here's 5. Click Open. Or did I accidentally click Cancel there? Probably accidentally click Cancel. Desktop. There we go. And now the structure that we created is there. Now if you remember, we added these extra 2 feet for the purposes of the other methodology to import these models. If you're going to use this methodology of importing them with the platforms already in place, I would recommend you do not use this method. However, it can also come in handy as when we transpose, so often when we transpose these platforms from ArcMap and ArcScene into Unity, sometimes they aren't 100% accurate. So having an additional 2 feet of wiggle room can come in handy if you do it using this workflow as well. Let's also do 8. Same thing. Now our structures that we created are there. And you would go through and do it for all of your structures in the reconstruction. And what you would do at this stage is similar to what we did yesterday. First, you would want to make sure you save your edits. stop editing, and you want to export this out. So I will make a second one. Call this one model added. Hit export. And we are done with that stage. Now we need to convert those files into a format that Unity can read so that we can get these shapefiles with the structures actually in place, as well as the terrain. In order to do that, you want to open up a program that is a 3D model program that can import multiple types of files as well as export multiple types of model files. In this case, I'm using Blender, a free 3D modeling program. It looks complicated, and it is, but for the purposes of this tutorial, we'll only need to import stuff in and then immediately re-export it out. We will not need to work in here other than just import and export. So go to File, Import, X3D Extensible 3D. Navigate to where you saved your models. Forget, is that the one where we saved it, or was it the previous one? Let's go up a file, GIS. This be it. Import. Now it's not, you're not going to be able to see it because the size is maintained. But here you can see, if you zoom out, you can see all of the buildings and the platforms that we have. Oh, looks like it saved the 3D models that we brought in. That's fine. It's not going to be a huge detriment to this tutorial, but as you can see, those are the two models that we just put in. Now all you need to do is hit File. First, you also don't want to move it around like I was doing a bunch of. So what I'm going to do is just create a new one. I was moving the file around so that it was easier to see for the tutorial, but typically you do not want to move the file around too much in case that messes up the locational data. And then you want to export it out. Now you can export it out as multiple types of files. Colladas do work to some degree, however I've found that either FBX or Wavefront OBJ files work the best. OBJ typically work a little bit better. Now I previously did a test, however I'm just going to overwrite these. So this is the buildings file, and we'll name this buildings tutorial. Make sure that's accepted. Hit export, and it has exported out those models. Do new, because you have to do the exact same thing now for the anchor points. Import, file, navigate to where your files are, import. Again, they are here, it's just you can't see them easily. And so are your anchor points, but they're just a little bit harder to see. Export out, OBJ. models, anchors, tutorial. And export. Alright, at this stage you have completed part 4 of this tutorial series. In the next section we will begin bringing all of this into Unity Engine, and we will be able to start the reconstruction within Unity Engine.